everybody, it's time for another Mini Mondays, and today I'm going to be doing another follow-up on Rick and Morty, specifically Season 3, that just finished airing yesterday. Now, if you want to know the details of the plot and the characters, and the good things and the bad things, just like before, you can watch my original review, as well as my Season 2 follow-up for Mini Mondays from 2 years ago. They'll be linked in the description below. So we're gonna skip all past that, and we're just gonna talk about Season 3 today. So, Season 3 started off with a huge bang. I mean, it began as an April Fool's joke that, unfortunately, I did fall for. People were saying that Rick and Morty Season 3 Episode 1 was streaming on April Fool's Day, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. But then I actually fell for it because people wouldn't stop saying it. So, yes, I did fall for the joke, and what do you know, it was actually doing it. And I had super duper high expectations for Season 3 because of how amazing the cliffhanger on Season 2 was. It was just like, I had never seen a cliffhanger that made me want to see what happened next so bad, and I felt like the first episode of Season 3 followed up on that cliffhanger really well, I would say. I mean, the whole Szechuan sauce thing, yeah, we'll get to that in a bit, but as an episode, I think it was really well followed up with. And then the rest of the season happened. So, I just want to preface everything I'm saying here by saying, just before I get into anything specific, yes, I recommend Rick and Morty Season 3. I think it's great. But, and it's a big but, big stinky but. So, Rick and Morty has always had this problem that I did mention in my first review, and I can't remember if I mentioned it in my Season 2 review, but here it's really starting to be a problem now, is that Rick and Morty is capable of telling these very interesting stories. Okay, they have great characters that are fun, they're great to be with, they're entertaining, they're funny, they're smart, and what I don't understand about Rick and Morty is why the creators don't think we should see more of that. What we should see more of is stupid things that have no consequence at all. And sure, for the first season, there was lots of stupid things. Second season, tons of stupid things. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying is that Rick and Morty has a great story underneath it. It really does. It's very interesting. Rick's whole story, Rick has a giant story to explore that has not been explored at all. Like tiny little snippets of it have been explored. We're 3 seasons in now, and we don't really know anything about Rick at this point. I mean, he's still a good character. I still enjoy him. But, yeah, it's like at this point in the story, you should start knowing a little bit more about people. And then they had the bait and switch thing with the whole, the first episode where you think he says his backstory, what motivates him, but then haha, it's just a prank. And that attitude right there is indicative of the entire problem I have with Rick and Morty, is it's a carrot and stick show, is that it's got this really tantalizing carrot of great plot and interesting characters and fun humor and just everything that you want in a show, but its method of carrying you along is to whack you on the head with its stick if you try to take it seriously. And what I mean by that is just, it's like, hey, we got this cool story, and you want to be invested in it, right? Haha, well fuck you, Pickle Rick and Szechuan sauce and memes and merchandise and pocket Mortys. I feel like this whole season has just existed for no other reason than just to kind of advertise its other stuff. So, like with pocket Mortys, they've been adding new Mortys and new Ricks and everything, so I feel like this other Ricks are coming in and other Mortys are coming in just so they can be in pocket Mortys and just so they can merchandise them and make pop figures out of them and memes. I'm gonna go in more on the memes thing in a different video for sure, but I gotta say that the memes this season, they're kind of getting out of control. I thought the Szechuan sauce thing was really funny at first, but then it went out of control. I like that some closure came of the meme in that McDonald's is actually bringing the sauce back, but I don't think it's funny necessarily. In fact, it just kind of makes me mad that they eschewed this story to tell that joke, to make the meme. And of course the whole Pickle Rick thing that people are really getting sick of, and I'm sick of it too. I didn't think it was funny to begin with. I mean, it was a little bit, but it wasn't that funny. At least to me. But it's kind of off topic a little bit. So yeah, I would say that Season 3 is not a worthy successor to Season 2. Now, that's not to say it's not still entertaining. I still thought it was very funny, and the parts of the story that we did get were great. And That's the problem, is that they were great, but why didn't we see more of them? 10 episodes, and only 3 had anything to do with story. Almost not even 3, it was 2. The first episode, and Tales from the Citadel, which we'll get to later, but there was all this story that they had established from the first episode, the intergalactic government collapsing, Phoenix person was never mentioned again. All these things just never mentioned again. It feels like they wrote the season 3 premiere at the end of season 2 and then just sort of forgot about it for a while, and that would sort of explain that 3-month gap between the episodes. I don't know if that's for certain, but that's kind of how it feels. It's like that first episode is so great, and it feels like 1,000 light years away from quality in terms of the first episode and the second episode. It just feels like nothing of particular consequence happened in this season. Nothing that I feel like I had to watch. Now, that's not to say I didn't watch it. Of course I did, and I enjoyed every minute of it. But it's time to decide. It's time to decide if you want to tell an engaging story or if you want to just do random dumb shit. And I'm fine with either one. You're good at both, but you gotta pick one. And not you, but I'm talking about the creators of the show. Just, they need to pick a side. They need to be a narrative-driven story-based show, or they need to be random and dumb and fun and funny. Because having these two come together, it's like peanut butter and dog shit. It doesn't go together in any scenario. So I'm disappointed in season 3 for sure, because I really wanted more story than we got, and honestly, that's not even getting to the whole characters thing. I mean, the fact that they just kind of threw Jerry to the dogs really upsets me, because I like Jerry. I think he's adorable, and I like seeing more of him. And the fact that, yeah, he was just, like, thrown away really bothers me. And then his story had absolutely no resolution, because in the end he just gets back together with Beth again, so it's like, what was the point of all that? And Summer really took a downturn as well. She just became, like, this snarky bitch, kind of, which she kind of already was, but more like not giving a shit snarky bitch than she was before. Not terrible, just not very fun. And Beth, ugh, I already didn't like Beth very much, to be honest, but she just became confusingly awful in this season. So, again, how the first episode of season 3 feels so distant from the other ones, is like, in that episode, she was so desperate to have Rick back in her life that she divorced Jerry, and then all of a sudden in the ABCs of Beth, she resents him again. She's like mad at him for no reason, and I don't understand her deal exactly. And when it focuses on her, I lose interest completely. I don't like Beth, I don't care about Beth, and I don't like the idea that she's as smart as Rick, because she's never shown any signs of being smart. If she were smart, she would not be so annoying, I think. That's a dumb way to put it, but yeah. I mean, and obviously Rick and Morty are still great, but there's something weird about Rick in this season that kind of bugs me, is that this season is not really focused on developing him as a character. It's more about making him as an undefeatable, undeniable, godlike badass, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. I always thought Rick was badass, but giving him all these gadgets and new things and ways to kill people and protect himself, and it's crazy. I mean, that never happened before. It's neat, but I wouldn't say it's exactly developing an interesting character. How about instead of focusing on these gizmos and gadgets and shit, you put that time into developing Rick as a character, and not just his personality. A character needs a personality, but it also needs a backstory, an origin, something that's real, something that's not Szechuan sauce. It just, I love this show, I really do, and that's why I get so frustrated with it when it's not doing what I feel it should. And that might sound like I'm being kind of a controlling asshole, but, you know, all I can say is how I feel, and I just feel like it was unsatisfying. I would say the person who got the most character development, though, was Morty in this season, which I like the direction that he's going to, from being that nervous, stuttering kid who could barely form a sentence to being, you know, like a bona fide Rick sidekick, but that also means that he's becoming more jaded and, you know, more cynical about the universe and realizing his place at Rick's side as a Morty, not the Morty, that kind of thing. I like that a lot. But again, it's just not explored enough. So yeah, I think that's it. It's that it's time to stop taking baby steps with Rick and Morty, because you've established yourself. People love you, Rick and Morty. People adore you, and that's why they were so upset. They felt so underwhelmed by this season. I wouldn't say I'm with them, but I can understand why that would be. I mean, when you have no follow-up, no real character development, no interesting developments, except for a couple, like with Tales of the Citadel, I can understand why people would be upset, for sure. But I'm still with you, Rick and Morty. I will absolutely come back for season 4, whenever the fuck that comes. So, yeah, I would say that out of the whole season, my favorite episode, it was really hard to choose between the two, but it's probably Tales from the Citadel, with the Whirly-Durly conspiracy being a super close second, just because I love Rick and Jerry's, I like a Rick and Jerry episode, I really do, and I like the way Rick acts in it too, with his, I want cookies, it's cute. But no, Tales from the Citadel, it was extremely well put together, and the fact that Justin Roiland is really earning his paycheck with that episode, let's just say, because every single voice is him. It's crazy, and yeah, all the developments in the episode are interesting. It creates a very, very intriguing idea about the Citadel and how, like, Ricks and Mortys are sort of dehumanized into being just not Ricks and Mortys, to live out this life of safety on the Citadel. It's very interesting, but again, they don't go anywhere with it, and of course the whole evil Morty president thing is neat. I would like to see where that goes in the future, for sure. Just super well put together, really, really solid episode, and Mermaid Puss. And my least favorite episode, it was, again, a really tough choice, but I was gonna go with Morty's Mind Blowers, but after further rewatches, I'd have to say the ABCs of Beth is my least favorite, because just, Beth, so not only is it an episode about Beth, who I don't care about, but it's also an episode about a character we've never known about before, that's never been mentioned. This whole Fruipyland thing was never mentioned, and again, Beth's attitude towards Rick just doesn't, it's not consistent. It's like now she's really hostile towards him in this episode, and I don't understand her motivation, I don't understand her personality, I don't understand anything about her, and it frustrates me. So, yeah, and nothing interesting happened in that episode. I know some people say it's disturbing, but I think it would have been more disturbing if we had seen what Fruipyland was like before it got all incest raped and eaten to the point where it was, as opposed to just being, like, context is important, is what I'm saying. So, that was a lot longer than I expected it to be, but yeah. Rick and Morty, I'm still on board 100%. I look forward to what you can bring in the future, but all I can say is just, please don't treat us like idiots who will just consume whatever you put out because you're Rick and Morty. Just, you have it. You are good at telling stories and making characters, so just commit to it. Because eventually, if you don't do that, people are gonna lose interest. They will. I guarantee it. So, I'm talking to this show like it's a sentient being, but you know what I mean. So, yes, I would still recommend season 3 to everyone. Of course, I would recommend all of Rick and Morty, but I'm gonna have to step my overall score down to a 4. It was at a 4.5 eyes out of 5 before. Because of the season, though, it's gonna have to step down to a 4. And now that's still a really good score. Not as good, though. Still recommended, though. And that's all I'd have to say about that.